So, I bet you weren't expecting this. I am the Stylesman. And like the title says, I'm going to be talking about Ninja Gaiden 4. And why Ninja Gaiden 4 is disappointing. We are going to be taking a deep dive into Ninja Gaiden 4 and discussing the game on a deep level. So sit back, relax, and enjoy yourselves while I go through this. Now I want to make something absolutely clear. Ninja Gaiden 4 is not a bad game. In fact, I think and say the exact opposite. Ninja Gaiden 4 is a superb game, easily some of Platinum's best work. Not only that, but I am confident in saying it is the best action game of 2025. Not only that, but I am even more confident to say that this game is one of the greatest hack and slash games of all time. In fact, I can easily recommend this game to so many people. So if you are an action game fan, then you should definitely try this game. If you are a hack and slash fan, then you need to play this game. Your action game or hack and slash game library would be incomplete without having this game in it. But just because a game is great doesn't mean it still can't be disappointing. I really love and enjoy Ninja Gaiden 4, but at the same time, I couldn't help but feel disappointed at the game for various reasons. Reasons that I will be mentioning and explaining in greater detail in this video. Before I begin, I know there is a lot of talk about this suck to target feature in Ninja Gaiden 4, a term which honestly I haven't even heard of before, really. It basically is referring to the magnetism feature of when pulling off an attack and how the attack causes you to automatically rush towards your target without the need to aim the left stick. I'm going to disprove this claim right now by saying this is not a feature that was only started in Ninja Gaiden 4, but rather this is something that was already present in all 3D Ninja Gaiden games. Let's look at the ultimate techniques, for example. When charging an ultimate technique and releasing, your character rushes towards the closest opponent without you even having to move the left stick. This happens automatically. Even if you were to aim the left stick in another direction while there is an enemy present, then your character will completely ignore your inputted direction and aim straight for the enemy. Another example is the wind run feature. What is the wind run? It is basically a homing jump, a magnetizing jump. This jump has literally one purpose: to make other techniques easier to perform. That is it. The wind run allows you to jump towards the closest target without even inputting a direction, allowing you to perform other techniques more easily in the game, such as wind path, guillotine throw, and flying swallow as a few examples. All these players complaining about this suck to target feature have never complained about these features in Ninja Gaiden before. They are now only complaining about this being present in Ninja Gaiden 4 clearly, with an agenda to wrongfully bash the game due to their dislike towards the game. It is unacceptable, and I will not follow suit with these ridiculous claims myself. I would like to see these players who complain about this feature to play the previous Ninja Gaiden games without using ultimate techniques and wind run and upload a playthrough of them doing exactly that if they dislike the suck to target feature so much. They have never complained about this before, only now with Ninja Gaiden 4 being released, clearly with a negative agenda in mind. However, there was a recent video published by the Electric Underground, who also talks about this system, and from what he has shown, it is pretty ridiculous if you go into further detail. So, if you look at this, tracking is actually insane. Now, I did not know about this, but man, that is too much right there. Way too much. If this is what people are complaining about, then I understand. But if it's the issue of being magnetized towards an enemy just from an attack startup, then that is just ridiculous. I recommend going to check out the Electric Underground's video on this. I'll link it in the description. Before we talk about the issues of Ninja Gaiden 4, I want you to know that this is not a video bashing on the game or calling it terrible or whatever, because it simply isn't, just as I have explained in the previous segment. So here I will mention some of the great aspects of this game first. Many things the game does right. Yakumo's gameplay is absolutely superb. He is amazing to play with, lots of tools and abilities in his arsenal. To me, he is a welcome addition to Ninja Gaiden, and he is very well done in terms of his gameplay perspective. He has many tools, very flexible in his gameplay, lots of variety, and overall an amazing character to play as in Ninja Gaiden 4. His Blood Raven form is great and very interesting. It's cool how you can shift into Blood Raven form at any time to really tip the scales of battle in your favor. It's very pleasant to see. There are many more avenues for moves and abilities in this game. For example, now being able to use abilities like Wind Path and Guillotine Throw in mid-air, on grounded enemies, etc. Also to be able to shift into Blood Raven form and Dragon Gleam form with Ryu at any time to mix up your combos and handle waves accordingly, how you deem necessary. Really open movement abilities in this game. I can really appreciate the idea to now be able to use the reserved True Dragon Sword techniques at any time outside of just ultimate techniques. Having the ability to zoom around the arena and utilizing the power of the True Dragon Sword at any point you like is a great addition to the game for sure. I love this ability, and Platinum should be applauded for this great idea and implementation for Ryu's combat arsenal. The sounds in this game are so good. The ferocity of taking your blades out on the opponent. Metal clashing against each other and ripping enemies apart. Everything feels and sounds so heavy, so weighty, and I love it. Sound design gets an easy S rank here. Enemy AI is challenging, vicious, relentless, even on just normal difficulty. This game does not hold back at all, and it's great that enemies stay true to the NG formula of just being clever enemies and striking when there is an opportunity for them to strike. Reason why I praise AI in this game over enemies in the DMC series. While the graphics aren't the greatest against seen recent games, and in my personal opinion don't even match the graphics of Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, and that was released earlier this year, I can still say the graphics look great, and certainly serviceable. And that's with the game running on performance mode on my PC so I can play as optimally as possible. Game looks great, no doubt about it whatsoever. I'm happy to say that for the most part the camera issues have been minimal with this game, thanks to the camera having a far larger FOV, and even an FOV slider being present in the game. It has negated many camera issues that we are prone to have throughout the entire NG series. Also, with certain objects becoming hollow when you get too close to them, it's a really good improvement. Bosses are good. Why? It's because no more of that RNG rubbish that we've had to deal with in previous Ninja Gaiden games. Gone are the days of Alma and Elizabeth, where the game decides whether you can hit them or not. This time it all narrows down to you and your level of skill. And that to me is a great change from the nonsense we've had to deal with previously in Ninja Gaiden. The music in this game is so good. I love how Yakumo has these guitars and rock themes, whilst Ryu has his traditional type of music that we are familiar with in previous Ninja Gaiden games. It's like two different styles of music suitable for both these characters, and I love that a lot. Really good music here. Finally, a training room. Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge had one of these that was strangely taken out in the Master Collection version of the game for some reason, but it is nice to see it return once more. Accessories are back like from Ninja Gaiden 1, and I would say that's a great thing. Just really helps to flesh out whatever playstyle you are going for in Ninja Gaiden 4. It's good to see health items and such returning to these games. I don't have them honestly, but for a hard action game like this it makes sense for them to exist in these games. Now it's time to discuss the issues with Ninja Gaiden 4. We will be handling the least important things here first, being things like the characters and story. We will then discuss the more problematic things the further we progress through the video. The new characters in this game are awful in terms of their personality. They are all typical personalities you could expect to see in some cheesy anime. They are annoying as well.
Hey, Yakumo!
Oh no.
Got a present for ya.
Anytime if I hear a voice and I say oh no, that's a not good sign.
Oh, that must be the Caddiswow Raven gear. Find a solid point to hook onto, and you can use it to swing across great distances.
Wow.
Raven gear.
Yes, the cutting-edge technology developed through the Raven clan's private research. Ninjas are, of course, known for their enhanced mobility, but these tools are specifically engineered to make full utilization of aerodynamic energy to allow for an even greater range of...
Wow, cool. How about you tell me about it some other time?
You two seem to be getting along well.
Indeed. I'm with Sayori, and we are en route to the shrine now. We'll remain concealed as we trail Yakumo, but should the need arise, I'll guard her with my life.
Okay.
Change of plans. I'm helping the priestess escape.
Huh? Oh, what?
No time to talk. I'll explain once we're out. Shutting off comms for now.
Hang on a sec. You can't just...
Friend of yours?
You could say that.
So, what are they like?
Not your concern.
She has some interesting shoes. Yeah, I don't like these characters. I'm kind of cringing a little bit right now. They are complete anime stereotypes.
None of them fit into the Ninja Gaiden series too well, considering the Ninja Gaiden series was always a more serious type of game, with how the characters all acted and presented themselves. These new characters sometimes just come out being awfully cringe too. The only good new character to me was Tyron. Even Yakumo's design is just painfully anime to me. His white hair and hairstyle. I don't know, man. I then come to realize that the game in English is way different to how the game is in Japanese. If you play the game in Japanese, then not only the characters sound more authentic, but the script completely changes, causing the characters to sound more fitting for a Ninja Gaiden game. But what I don't understand is why. Why do the characters sound so much better in Japanese compared to the English?
Fuck off.
答える必要はない。
Why do they fit the theme of Ninja Gaiden so much better in Japanese compared to English? I just don't understand that at all. If you ever play this game, then be sure to save your mind and set the game language to Japanese. You'll be doing yourself a big favor. And all those characters that started off being dislikable feel so much better, cooler, and authentic in the game. Now, story has never been the strong point of Ninja Gaiden games. Stories in Ninja Gaiden have always just existed, just so the main character has a reason to do what they need to do. I want you to bear in mind, however, that I did play the game in English, so perhaps if I played the game in Japanese, then my opinion here might be different. But the story here is so strange to me, based on the English script. So, you come across a priestess called Sayori in the game, and you go on this huge task of undoing the Dark Dragon seals to free the Dark Dragon in order to kill him permanently once and for all. It's weird because before taking this task, your objective was to infiltrate this organization in order to kill Sayori at the beginning of the game.
You're the priestess?
That's me.
Then you die. Here.
My. Straight to business, I see.
Yakumo, the main character, was so adamant to kill this woman. But when he meets her, she tells him about the true prophecy and yada yada. And he just believes her immediately. What? Why?
One wrong move, and you're dead.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Oh, what's your name, by the way?
Yakumo.
Alright.
What kind of ninja are you telling her your name like that? You don't even know who she is.
Isn't she the enemy? Even if she was truthful, then why didn't they lock her up first and just investigate it further? Furthermore, later down the line, we come to a point where after undoing the seals, the final step was to kill Sayori, and her sacrifice would cause the revival of the Dark Dragon. Okay, fine. It was predictable, honestly, but sure. However, Yakumo becomes hesitant when needing to kill Sayori. Why?
This is not going to turn into a love story, is it?
Lead the sacrifice.
Sacrifice. What?
I told you before. The soul of the Dark Dragon is inside of me. To finish the resurrection, soul and body must be reunited. As vessel of the dragon's soul, I need to die.
You're a Raven Ninja. I thought you didn't care. All I cared about them was a mission.
Yakumo,
You were gonna kill her anyway.
please!
It's not the fact that he was hesitant, but more so the fact that Yakumo throughout this entire time was always talking about the mission, the mission, the mission, the mission. It's literally all he cares and talks about, but when it comes to the next step of his mission, which was killing Sayori, he hesitates. Why? He barely spoke to her the entire game. Are you trying to tell me they made some kind of bond or connection or something? Bro, this was stupid. If there was a proper build-up to this hesitation scene, then sure. But they barely spent any time together. It's ridiculous. Then of course, Misaki just out of nowhere kills Sayori. And he was the bad guy all along. Dude, I could have seen that coming, honestly. Just painfully predictable. Finally, when the fight between you and the Dark Dragon happens, a really easy fight by the way, probably the easiest boss in the game. After killing him, you suddenly have to fight yourself. What?
But evil Yakumo? Are you serious?
This ends here.
Makes no sense.
Why? Don't get me wrong, it makes for a very cool boss fight, for sure. And we have always fought doppelgangers in Ninja Gaiden before. I just don't understand how the Dark Dragon now slaughtered takes the form of Yakumo that you need to face. After defeating this form, you see a cutscene of Yakumo impaling the Dark Dragon Phantom. He was about to pass out, but of course remembers Sayori. It gives him the strength to kill the Dark Dragon Phantom once and for all.
He's gonna remember Sayori. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. This is the worst Ninja Gaiden game. This game is depressing. No Ninja Gaiden game has been this level of cringe, bro.
Oh, please tell me you're alright.
Yeah. It's done.
Wow, I'm glad I used the power of love for a woman that I was gonna kill, that I never actually spent any time with throughout the entirety of the game. I'm glad I loved her. Wow. Such stupid nonsense. I didn't even think Ninja. Oh my god.
You can't make this stuff up, man. The story is way too anime to be an NG game. Now, the script and tone changes in Japanese, so it's highly likely I would enjoy the Japanese much more here, but still, the English version just is not right for me at all. One aspect of the story I want to talk about in further detail is this part, the prophecy. This game emphasizes some prophecy where only a Raven Clan ninja can purify the Dark Dragon. I'm sorry, what? Why? And what is this prophecy plot point? It is completely out of place in Ninja Gaiden. Throughout the Ninja Gaiden series, there has never been any kind of prophecy or anything. Ryu Hayabusa, the main character of the Ninja Gaiden series, always went out because of his duty and responsibility of doing so, not because of some prophecy. In the first game, Ryu literally goes out to the city of Tyrone for no other reason than just to hunt down and kill Doku.
I'm looking for a greater fiend named Doku. Do you know him?
Why are you looking for him?
I'm going to kill him.
In the second game, it was all about him retrieving the dragon statue and preventing the recreation of the Archfiend.
Follow the woman! You must retrieve the statue! Go! Now!
In Ninja Gaiden 3, it was all about stopping a terrorist attack and preventing an organization from destroying and recreating the world.
I've heard it said that the power of the dragon sword can only kill that which is truly evil. Even if you get your sword back, you may not be able to finish her.
But I must try, nonetheless.
Because it is your duty as a dragon ninja?
Because I promised a little girl.
In all these instances, not once did the games ever mention Ryu as some special, chosen one. He was just a man doing what he needed to do. That was it. Now Ninja Gaiden 4 comes along and talks of Yakumo as some special, chosen dude and the only one who can kill the Dark Dragon. Yeah, I don't buy it.
Oh, so you care about her now?
Please. The Dark Dragon. Only you can defeat him. Purify.
I'm gonna put your hand on his cheek. Oh, that's so sweet. You're not gonna cry, are you?
Listen, I don't mind Yakumo being the hero and the one saving the world instead of Ryu here. That is not the issue. It's just the delivery of how it's done. In the previous games, Ryu just saved the world naturally because it was the result of him fulfilling his duty. In Ninja Gaiden 4, Yakumo saves everyone because he is destined to do so. There's a difference here. And for God's sake, man, why does everyone talk so much in this game? It's super annoying, at least in English. After my first initial playthrough, I turned off the voices immediately. I couldn't stand hearing these characters anymore. Honestly, man. Now moving on to level design. I will have to say that level design in Ninja Gaiden 4 isn't anything too special. Ninja Gaiden 2 and Ninja Gaiden 1 had the best level variety. And Ninja Gaiden 2 Black honestly had the prettiest looking levels I may just have ever seen in a video game ever. Oh my god, man, that game looks so good. In Ninja Gaiden 4, however, how it works is that you have pretty much 4 acts, with a stage design for each act. Act 1 had Sky City Tokyo, a futuristic cityscape. Act 2 had these mountain areas. Act 3 had this kind of underground club vibe, while also having to explore parts of the underworld. Act 4 was basically a futuristic military base theme. Act 5 and 6 are just repeats of chapters we have played before. So clearly there isn't much level variety here as Ninja Gaiden 1 or Ninja Gaiden 2, which is pretty disappointing. I was hoping to see some more. Throughout the entirety of the Ninja Gaiden series, Ninja Gaiden has always handled weapons in a rather simplistic fashion. What I mean by this is that we have always used simple, traditional weapons in Ninja Gaiden. At times there were magical weapons, but even those were usually handled like how you would handle a regular weapon. Take Kaitetsu, the blade of the Archfiend, or True Dragon Sword as some examples. In nature they are magical weapons, but at the same time they would be used and look just like regular katanas outside of their special properties. Yakumo now handles many different interesting types of weaponry that we have never really seen before in the Ninja Gaiden series, and they feel off due to that reason. Even the female characters in the Ninja Gaiden series have always had basic traditional weapons. Yakumo now has an odachi which extends in length, a huge drill, a massive hammer with ignition, unlike Rachel's hammer, which basically just acts like a regular hammer with no added effects. Literally arms, branching from his back with Kage Hiruko in Blood Raven form. You see, we have never seen weapons like this in Ninja Gaiden before, or at least have never used them. These types of weapons you would typically see in a Platinum type title, like from the Bayonetta series. Bayonetta had handled massively oversized weapons with these kinds of crazy effects, so to see weapons like this in Ninja Gaiden, despite them being really cool, just feels so out of place. And for this reason, as much as I do definitely like the weapons, they don't suit my fancy in a game title like Ninja Gaiden. Just doesn't feel right for me. This could be more of a personal taste with the game, but you see what I mean here, right? That comes to another point as well. A lot of the new inclusions with the game mechanics are things you would normally see in Platinum titles. Things like the perfect dodge, parries, perfect counter, minigames, perfect block, dodge offset, as a few examples, are things you would commonly see in Platinum titles. I am not saying they are bad inclusions, except the minigames thing. I don't really like those in a Ninja Gaiden game, but they do interfere with the identity of Ninja Gaiden quite a bit. I'll explain more about this later. Not just with gameplay mechanics, but with characters too, as I mentioned previously. I've realized that a lot of these new characters, at least with English dub, are not suitable for Ninja Gaiden because they are Platinum type characters, not really Ninja Gaiden type characters. I think the storyline suffers the same issue here. This is not a Ninja Gaiden type of story to see, but this is certainly a more platinum type of thing, with Yakumo being the chosen one and so forth. Overall, what there is to understand here is that this is not Bayonetta, Transformers Devastation, Nier Automata, or Metal Gear Rising. This is Ninja Gaiden, and though the new additions and inclusions to this game are certainly welcome, it is important to ensure that the identity and the nature of Ninja Gaiden stays intact. Like I said, more about this will be explained later. To add to the whole Platinum Touch aspect, I want to focus on another thing which is constant within Ninja Gaiden 4: slowdown. There are so many instances in this game where there is slowdown or a slight pause within gameplay time. For example, when you activate Berserker mode or True Gleam mode, when performing a Berserker kill, True Obliteration, when performing a perfect dodge, perfect block, parry, sometimes when delivering an enemy, counterattacks as a few examples. There is slowdown everywhere in this game, and this has never really happened to this extent in Ninja Gaiden before, if at all. I understand the devs must have wanted slowdown during certain moments in order to look flashy or to help the player capitalize from moments like a perfect dodge or parry, but Ninja Gaiden has always allowed the player to be in control of that. There was never any slowdown required. When you dodged or parried right, you should be able to recognize a moment like this on your own. Ninja Gaiden has always had this focus on the player being able to decide that for themselves if they want to, not to put this emphasis on saying time to counter whenever you get a perfect parry or dodge. And to add to the point of being flashy, Ninja Gaiden 4 is trying way too hard with that. In Ninja Gaiden you always looked cool, doing anything naturally. There was no need for all of these light effects and special effects when doing things. I admit, it definitely looks super cool getting a Berserker kill and True Obliteration, but other times when getting a parry or counter, they've tried and gone too far here. Ninja Gaiden was never about this kind of flashy effects, at least not to this degree. You always look cool because of you, not because of effects the game adds. This is it. One of the biggest reasons why I am so disappointed in this game. This game removes so many things from previous Ninja Gaiden titles. Let me go through them all with you. Bear in mind that the following I am listing are not even glitch tech. These are official moves from the previous games. Hold attacks, gone. Hold attacks are gone from the game completely. A hold attack is when you hold down the certain button input, which allows you to perform a completely different move. This is not like Yakumo's moves in Blood Raven form either. By holding down attack inputs for Yakumo in Blood Raven form, it causes one of the following: extended range, longer duration, just timing, combo extension. But none of these are the traditional hold attacks that we have experienced in Ninja Gaiden before, where holding a button allows you to do a completely different attack. An example is Ryu's traditional light to heavy combo. The heavy launches you and your character in the air, but if you were to hold down the heavy attack button, you stay on the ground when the enemy is launched in the air. This existed in every Ninja Gaiden game, but this combo is completely missing in Ninja Gaiden 4. Why? Hold combos are completely gone, and there were like perhaps 100 or more of these in Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. Directional attacks, gone. Attacks which involve a directional input are completely removed from the game. And I'm not talking about back-forward inputs here. I meant the old directional inputs. Okay, back-forward inputs and directional inputs, single directional inputs, are two completely different things. Running attacks, gone. On-landing attacks, gone. Projectile weapons, gone. I do not mean projectile attacks. There are projectile attacks for Yakumo. Ryu literally just has an Impo and Shuriken, which is a big issue. But I mean purpose-built projectile weapons, not present in the game at all. I won't count Kage Hiruko as one because that weapon is a mix of ninja tools, both melee and range tools, and not a purpose-built projectile weapon. Falcon's Eye, gone. Falcon's Eye was one of the sickest additions to Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. It allowed you to use ki to aim your bow in mid-air and shoot targets from afar. You were able to do this in any aerial state, including during combos. No projectile weapons means that Falcon's Eye was obviously removed from the game. Projectile ultimate techniques, gone. These were included in Ninja Gaiden 2 and Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, obviously gone since there are no projectile weapons in the game. Neutral heavy system, butchered. It's basically non-existent in this game any longer, honestly. Obliteration chaining, gone. Since there is no more neutral heavy, this means no more obliteration chaining. The obliteration technique system, butchered. The OT system in this game is completely ruined. And now you can OT someone just by performing a heavy attack mid-combo to get an instant OT. This change sucks, because now when you want to try and continue doing a certain combo on an enemy, you just end up OTing them instead. This was never the case in previous Ninja Gaiden games. Ninja Gaiden 2 and Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge had many different ways to do an OT mid-combo, so this gave the player the choice to do an OT if they wanted to. The player's old OT options were delayed obliterations that were involved in Ninja Gaiden 2 and Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, embedded obliteration, which was a thing in Ninja Gaiden 2, and mid-combo obliteration, using the neutral heavy system in Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. These are not official terms, by the way, these are just what I call them. Yeah, you can check my tutorials to see what I'm on about for those games. Another thing about this system is that it is inconsistent. At least in previous games, you had full control of whether you want to OT an enemy or not. With this new OT system, there have been plenty of times already where you are pressing the heavy attack button mid-combo to try and OT an enemy, but it just doesn't happen. Why? For the most part, it does work fine, from my experience, but there are occasions where the OT just does not come out for some reason. Decapitation OTs, gone. For some reason they removed the ability to obliterate beheaded enemies. I have zero idea as to why. Some of Ryu's old katana OTs missing. I don't understand how they decide to use Ryu's old 3 Razor's Edge obliterations, but decided to not even include them all. I really don't understand this. The old counter system completely replaced. Yeah, I don't mind this new counter system. I do like a variety of tools to work with, so these new additions are welcome. Meaning the perfect dodge, parry, perfect block, counter, blood raven, and gleam counters. But they didn't have to remove the old system. That's just silly. We had that counter system for the last 3 Ninja Gaiden titles. Also, it was a good counter system. Why did they replace it entirely? 4 rings, gone. Izuna chaining, gone. Yes, Before in Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, you had the ability to chain multiple Izunas together in a single combo flow. Not possible in this game. Izuna variants, gone. This game only has one type of Izuna? Are you serious? Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge had like 11. 4 of those were just for Ryu's katana only. This game only has one? Why? Ultimate Technique System downgraded. In Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, you could charge a weapon to 3 levels of Ultimate Technique, now downgraded back to only 2 levels of Ultimate Technique unfortunately. 360 Ultimate Techniques, gone. The tackle system, gone. Steel on Bone, gone. Say what you want about Steel on Bone, but Steel on Bone was a great addition to Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge and had some of the sickest finishes that you would ever see in that game. No longer present in this game. Cicada Surge, gone. They kept Ryu's animation for Cicada Surge, but they added it with the perfect dodge system and doesn't have the same properties. Cicada Surge allowed you to cancel out of any move and reposition yourself behind the opponent with the right timing, and that costed some ki. It was super useful and handy. Time it too early though, and you would be left vulnerable. Gone. Multiple wind path variants, gone. Wind pounce, wind path redirect, and wind path cancel all vanished from this game. Special meter upgrades are gone. In Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2, you could find collectibles to increase your ki meter, so I'm not sure why they removed those in this game, especially when you have Blood Raven form and Gleam mode. Extending that meter would have been very useful. You can unlock accessories which decrease the use rate of Blood Raven Gleam modes and increase the rate of their recovery also, but still, the meter could have used some permanent upgrades as well. Ryu's 3 Razor's Edge moveset, mostly gone. They gave Ryu only one weapon in this game. Only one. And they didn't even give him all the moves from 3 Razor's Edge, despite giving Ryu basically most of his 3 Razor's Edge moveset outside of Dragon Gleam mode. Here is Ryu's moveset in Ninja Gaiden 4 for the sword. Now here is Ryu's moveset in Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge for the sword. Just the sword, by the way. Yeah, I know. Listen, dude, you just look at this list and see for yourself how many things have been removed from this game. It's insane, And remember, this is not glitch tech either. It is great how you are able to evolve in certain areas with moves. For example, with Wind Path, you can Wind Path off of enemies on the ground, and now in midair. But you can no longer do Wind Path Cancel, Wind Pounce, or Wind Path Redirect. One step forward, two steps backward. Why do you have to buy skills which should have been free and available from the start of the game, man? Level 2 ultimate techniques, Flying Swallow, Wind Path, Guillotine Throw, Ultimate Guidance? Heck man, not even Wind Run. I can understand some of these not being available to Yakumo, but only a few of these. But other things are ridiculous. Not even Wind Run, Counter Attack, Perfect Block. These aren't skills we should need to be buying, man. They should have been available from the start. Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2 had these free from the get-go. This is just a bad move right there, honestly. I don't understand Blood Essence in this game. Yes, I am glad they brought Essence back, but it barely does anything outside of the big Essence orbs. The small ones barely have any health benefits, so you're better off just absorbing them for ultimate technique charge. And yeah, ultimate technique charging is back. Spam has returned to Ninja Gaiden once again. Way to go. Too little risk for high reward, making the blood essence system part pointless and mainly beneficial for ultimate technique charges only. It is very clear to me that this game was made for Yakumo and not Ryu. We will go into further details on this later as well, but my question is just as to why. I don't mind Yakumo. I don't mind Yakumo being in the game. But there's an extent where you just go too far with pushing Yakumo into the spotlight. This game is all about Yakumo. Yakumo gets the most screen time. He gets all the weapons. He is the one who is selected for this prophecy. He is the one who has the most skills and abilities. He's the hero of the game. He has the most playtime. You can tell by the challenge of this game that it is more challenging for Yakumo than it is for Ryu, making it seem like these enemy waves and designs are designed with Yakumo in mind than it is for Ryu, honestly. All the press and everything just constantly kept talking about Yakumo. Yakumo, Yakumo, Yakumo. Well, guess what? As much as I love Yakumo gameplay wise, you guys at Platinum or Team Ninja need to realize something. And that is, we did not wait 13 years to play as Yakumo. We waited 13 years to play as our main man, Ryu Hayabusa. We waited for him. We missed him. Yakumo just gets all the attention here. Man, even in the credits scene, Ryu is nowhere to be seen.
Falls to the ground and dies. That's some cool parkour though. That is terrible. This really is Yakumo. We didn't even get to see Ryu in the ending, man.
Dude, even the opening start screen is just Yakumo. Yes, okay Platinum, we get it. You like Yakumo. Fine. Sure. Okay. But when you think of Ninja Gaiden, you think Ryu Hayabusa, not Yakumo. You don't need to push Yakumo in our faces that hard, man. Sheesh, dude. Take it easy, bruv. Which brings me to my next point, a further explanation when it comes to game playtime. You spend so much time with Yakumo that even I was wondering mid-playthrough, when am I going to play as Ryu?
Oh, for flip's sake, man. Come on, bro. 7 chapters in? How long is this game?
The inner sanctum.
I'm still playing as this guy?
Close by.
That's some Resident Evil 6 stuff right there with that shark coming out of the water. I'm still playing as Yakumo? Are you serious?
Chapter 3? No. Chapter 5? No. Chapter 7? No. Chapter 10? No. Chapter 14. More than halfway through the game. That is crazy. I was getting so impatient at that point, and I'm a really patient person too. Plus, I love Yakumo's gameplay, but jeez, man, that's really pushing it. Like, really pushing it. What is worse is that Ryu only has 4 chapters in the game, 2 of which are just boss fights. One lets you fight a few enemy waves before the boss, which is short. But holy, just really 2 chapters as Ryu? Honestly, in the main story? What? Yes, I know you can play as Ryu in every chapter in Chapter Challenge, but that is besides the point here. I am talking about main story playtime imbalance, not even a back and forth between characters. That is crazy, dude. Furthermore, I just want to add, how can you sideline a character this hard in his own series? Like I said, when you think of Ninja Gaiden, you think Ryu Hayabusa, not Yakumo. And let's talk about Ryu for a moment. Whilst Ryu is definitely fun to play as in this game, he feels broken or not suited for this game because the game feels way easier with Ryu compared to Yakumo. Once again, reiterating the fact that the enemy waves were designed with Yakumo in mind, not Ryu. Has less than 1/10 of the katana moveset links from Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. Has only one weapon. Basically replays all of Yakumo's stages. Only has 4 chapters in the game, 2 of which are basically just boss fights. Fights mostly the same bosses again. Only has 1 unique boss. Has only 2 side missions, has no trainer, can only acquire skills via chests in his missions, has less obliterations than 3 Razor's Edge despite giving him only his 3 Razor's Edge moveset, and don't forget with 1 weapon by the way, has no projectile weapon. And then the worst offense and decision at all is yet to be mentioned. After further playing the game, you come to realize something. That by the end of the main campaign, Ryu becomes ultimately pointless in the game. Allow me to explain. This is a spoiler, but it is important now. So, basically by the end of the game, you resurrect the Dark Dragon Blade from Ninja Gaiden 1. Cool, right? Yeah, I thought so too. Until suddenly, you start using the blade and begin to realize something. That the moves look pretty familiar.
What? They giving him Ryu's moveset with the Dark Dragon? Oh, I can't believe this.
And that's when it hits you. Yakumo having the Dark Dragon Blade gives Yakumo all of Ryu's skills. That's right. You get all of Ryu's combos, his obliterations, his ultimate techniques. Man, you even get Dragon Gleam mode, which is dubbed Shadow Gleam mode.
What? What sense does that make? Why would you need now? Why would exactly? Why would you play as what? So you double switch. I know it's a permanent weapon. He actually gets the Dark Dragon Blade. Whoa, whoa! Don't tell. No, 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 no. Don't tell me he gets a Dragon Gleam mode too. What? What's the point of Ryu in this game? It's a you guys Dragon Gleam mode too, huh? This is so dumb. Yeah, look. Oh my god. Shadow Gleam form. They've made Ryu completely useless in this game. Like, he's obsolete now. That's Ryu's ultis. Okay. I don't believe this. What were Platinum thinking? You know, if they gave him Yakumo some new moves, that's okay. But I wonder what the ultimate techniques are like. That's Ryu's ultimate technique. And what is the point of Ryu in this game? Even the ultimate techniques are just like Ryu. Does he get his own ultimate technique? What's the point of Ryu in this game? That's it. Ninja Gaiden is Yakumo's game now, bro. It's over.
Man, who was the guy who made this decision? Do you know what you have just done? You have basically made Ryu completely obsolete in this game. How could you give Yakumo a weapon which gives him all of Ryu's moves? That's insanity. What is the point of Ryu in this game? You might think that Ryu still has some unique moves with the Dragon Sword compared to the Dark Dragon Blade. But when you unlock the Dark Dragon Blade permanently through trials, you can also unlock all of Ryu's special moves with the blade too. That's right, you have all of Ryu's moves. At this point, the only unique moves Ryu has left are basically his slide dodge, shuriken throw, and ninpo. That is it. It got me saying during my playthrough of this game, what is the point of Ryu in this game? It was the dumbest decision I have ever seen in a video game ever. I'm sorry, man, but it has to be said. How could you give a weapon that basically gives whatever unique aspect the other character has completely gone? Making him near useless now. Making Ryu useless in his own game series. That is just criminal, dude. Absolutely criminal. This once again really makes me think at this point that Ryu was not meant to be playable in this game at all. Think about it. Sections are challenging with Yakumo, not Ryu. So the enemy waves don't really feel like they were made with Ryu in mind. Ryu has 4 chapters, 2 of which are just boss fights. Ryu has no unique chapters. Ryu doesn't have all his moves from Free Razor's Edge. Ryu only has 1 weapon. Ryu's chapters are basically replaying old chapters. Ryu has only 1 unique boss fight. Ryu is only playable from chapter 14. Ryu doesn't even have a trainer. Ryu has only 2 side missions, if you can even count them as side missions. Ryu's skills are all found via chests within his chapters. All of Ryu's moves are now possible to be performed with Yakumo with the Dark Dragon Blade. Ryu is not even shown in the credits scene. Ryu is not even shown in the title screen. I don't think Ryu was supposed to be playable in this game. It just makes no sense. The only sensible thing to think of would be that Yakumo was meant to get the Dark Dragon Blade, and as a fun Easter egg, the Dark Dragon Blade would have Ryu's Free Razor's Edge moveset. Just doesn't make any sense otherwise, really. It must have been a last-second decision. Why is there a block limit in this game? This has never existed in Ninja Gaiden before. You realize this after meeting Tyron, who has a purchasable skill to increase the amount of consecutive blocks you can do. What? Why do you need to buy this skill? Why does it even exist to begin with? Block limit in Ninja Gaiden. Figure that one out. I am fine with some minigame sections, some more than others, but at times it gets a bit too much. We have never had sections like these in Ninja Gaiden before. It gets a bit too much, honestly. Ratchet and Clank grind rails, and all of a sudden I'm playing Subway Surfer. I don't know, man. Once again, the Platinum Touch is in full effect here. You can say these are hiding loading screens, maybe, but even then, still, it feels excessive. You can't even skip these in chapter challenge mode. Please give us the option to. I believe there is a mode that does these sections for you, but I'd rather just have the option to skip them entirely, really. Come on, man. None at all? Right now, the only way to get the costumes is with the deluxe edition and pre-order bonus. Why are none available to unlock in-game? There should be more. I feel like the hitboxes in this game are the worst they have ever been in Ninja Gaiden, really. Maybe it's just me, but there have been plenty of times where I feel like I get hit by something even though I am clear out of the way.
Oh, that hit me? What? Really? I'm so happy in the air. Bro, that shouldn't be hitting me. Those hitboxes are crazy, bro. Come on, I'm so happy in the air.
Even though I am clear out of the way, dude. Maybe it's just me though. I don't know. This game still does suffer the issue where environments that do look like you can wall run on can't be. This issue has existed in all Ninja Gaiden games. Also things like Cadis Wire. In combat it doesn't feel as responsive as it should be mid-combo. You really need to wait, like after a flying swallow for example, until it is finally used. Master Ninja difficulty returns after beating the game. You have the option to play it right from New Game Plus or a new save file. Now normally all Ninja Gaiden games require you to start fresh when playing a harder difficulty, but not this one. And after playing the game on the hardest difficulty on a new save file, you can see why. The problem you'll notice is that this game is just not suited for a new game on Master Ninja mode. Not because of the difficulty itself, but because you have no skills. Remember, you have to buy everything first before you can use them. And Tyrant doesn't appear until much later on to actually be able to buy these skills. And even then, still, you won't be able to have all skills available for purchase until you progress far enough in the campaign to unlock them. This was a huge misstep. I tried doing Master Ninja on a new file and it is atrocious. It's just not worth it. I really feel like Master Ninja was not made with a new save file in mind. After all, you start off with less skills in this game than you do with Ninja Gaiden 1. Remember, not even Wind Run or Wind Path until chapter 3, dude. Now I just want to bring up chapter challenge mode. Yes, I am glad it returned, and yes, I am fully aware you can play as Ryu in all chapters. Of course. Even though Yakumo has all of Ryu's moves now. Yeah. But I just have to say this is a worse chapter challenge than Free Razor's Edge. Why? Here's why. Previously in Free Razor's Edge, you had certain story elements which included force walking sections and so forth. These are restricted to the main story. Chapter Challenge Mode took out all these story elements. It took out the dialogue, cutscenes, story elements, and more. so you can breeze through the game without having to hear and deal with any of those sections any longer. It was great and much appreciated. In Ninja Gaiden 4 though, they didn't do that. So there are still some sections you have to go through and hear the same thing over and over. Remember to turn voices off. Certain things like Umi opening doors, you still have to wait for her to open them. Destroying pylons, grind rail segments, subway surfer, blah blah. Still gotta do them. So yeah, Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge Chapter Challenge is better than Ninja Gaiden 4 Chapter Challenge. It's just fact, man. Bro, what is this? Yellow paint telling you where to go in a linear game? You have literally one path. One. Okay, so the game sometimes branches out into another pathway for a side mission or something, so you may wonder where to go next. The game already has a feature that directs you to where you need to go if you are lost. Wasn't that enough, man? Ah, come on, dude, this is silly.
Yeah, I don't like this yellow paint. That is funny. For an 18 plus game. Then again, I guess Uncharted and stuff had it. Every game needs yellow paint now. I mean, Ninja Gaiden 1 had the blue anyway. But at least that was less obvious.
In the end, this game is a reminder of what the modern gamer is up against. Yellow paint, hand-holding, forced walking segments, endless talking, forced waiting moments, lots of on-rails scripted stuff, QTEs, and more. And it's tiring, man. Really tiring. The game even has a moment in Chapter 1 where you can't move after visiting Umi's shop for the first time. You are forced to stand in place to use a healing item before you can move.
What's the point of that?
Oh, almost forgot. Take this. You can use this to heal up at a pinch. Go ahead and try it now.
They're forcing me to use an item? Okay, game, sure.
They don't even remove this in Chapter Challenge. If you play this chapter as Yakumo, then you still are forced to take a healing item before you can move and progress. Oh my god, man. I'm so done, bro. So done. All in all, despite this game's flaws, it's a great game. It really is. Sadly though, it is not the Ninja Gaiden game I would have wanted and hoped for. It just misses and forgets too much. It's an amazing action game. Like I said at the start, one of the best action games ever made even. But now imagine how great this game could have been if it didn't take out all this stuff I mentioned earlier. This game could have honestly been the greatest hack and slash game of all time. And I really mean that too. The sad thing is that with these new systems added to Ninja Gaiden 4, they're great. But the issue is not that they are new additions to the game. The problem is that they replace what was once already in the game. And when you do this, you end up causing the game to feel completely different than what it actually should be. And this is why many veteran Ninja Gaiden players say the same thing about this game. That it's a great action game, but it's just not Ninja Gaiden anymore. It feels too different, and I have admittedly said the same thing. And this is why I have come to the conclusion that Ninja Gaiden 4 is a great action game, but the worst Ninja Gaiden game of the mainline Ninja Gaiden series. However, just because I say it is the worst Ninja Gaiden game doesn't mean it's a bad Ninja Gaiden game at all. If you compare it in essence with the other games, then it just by nature is the worst one really. Too many things removed, too many additions which are off-putting to the game, too many replacements. First of all, if you got this far, I appreciate you watching this video. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send this video to Master, who is the Team Ninja Community Manager. I've spoken to him before. He honestly is just a super down and chill dude. I'll send this video his way and tell him to check out the video and video comments. Hopefully he and Team Ninja will check the comments often and take in your feedback, so write them down. I'll make a comment myself, and please remember to be respectful. Let's engage, not confront. So write a comment without any foul language or manners, please. Let's be respectful here. About what you would like to see in Ninja Gaiden 4. Any change, addition, return, etc. And finally, if you enjoyed this video, then please support me by subscribing, liking, commenting, following my socials. These videos take a lot of time and effort to make, so your support would be appreciated if you want to see more things like this. Alright, so take care guys, and I'll see you soon. May the peaceful one be with you. I am the Stylesman, and if you enjoyed what you've seen, then please support me by subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing this with as many people as you can. The more support that you guys give me, the more you will get out in return. So please check all the socials and links in the description. Rest assured that your support in me will not be misplaced. Thank you, and may you be at peace.